Hey everyone, this is Miss Kenny. I'm going to go ahead and give you the lesson 6, absolute value of numbers. Please take a minute to make sure that you get the definition of absolute value. That is the distance from 0 on a number line. And then what that means is if you have a negative or a positive number, it's how many jumps or skips or hops it will take you to get there. So again, please make sure that you get that definition. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. So the first activity that we're doing is activity 2, and that is the jumping flea. And it says the flea is jumping around on a number line. If the flea starts at 1 and jumps 4 units to the right, where does it end up? How far away from 0? So we're starting at 1 right here, and it tells us to go 4 jumps to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So then that's where we're ending. So where did we end up if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? So that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. So to answer the first part of that question, it says where does it end up? You're going to say it ends up on 5, just a 5. And then it says how far away from 0. So how far away from 0, if you count, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units away. So 5 units away from 0. Okay, so now the next question says if a flea starts at 1 and jumps 4 units to the left, where does it end up and how far away from 0? So we're going to do the same process. We're going to start at 1, but this time we are going to jump to the left 4 times. So we're going to the left on this one, where we went to the right on that one. So I'm going to start at 1, and I'm going to jump 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is where I'm going to end, and that's going to be -1, -2, -3. So we end up at -3. And then it says how far away from 0. Well, how many jumps are we away from 0? We are 1, 2, 3 jumps away. So we are 3 units away from 0. Now be careful because we're thinking negative, so it's going to be negative jumps, and that is actually not true. Absolute 0 is the number or the distance away from 0, whether the number is positive or negative. All right, C says if the flea starts at 0 and jumps 3 units away, where might it land? So with this one, it depends on which direction you want to go. So if we went 3 units away on this one, if we go to the right, we're going to go, we start on 0 and it says jumps 3 units away. So if we go to the right, we go 1, 2, 3. So where do we end up? We end up and just say right equals 3. And then if we go to the left from 0, we end up at 1, 2, 3. So then we end up, if we go left 3 times, it's going to be -3. All right, then the next one says, if the flea jumps 7 units and lands at 0, where could it have started? So depending on where, if we're ending on 0, which direction or how many jumps are we going to go? We're going to go 7. You can go 7 in either direction that you want. So if you wanted, we're starting on 0, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we could either start at a 7, or if we start at 0, we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we end up at -7. Okay? So what is the same between those two numbers? Those 7 and -7, they're both what? They're both 7 away from 0 in either direction that you go. All right, E says the absolute value of a number is the distance from 0. The flea is currently to the left of 0, and the absolute value of its location is 4. Where on the number line is it? So again, we know the absolute value is the number distance away from 0. So if the flea is currently to the left, so we're going to be, and I'm going to use the green color, to the left of 0, and the absolute value is located at 4, we're going to go to the left how many times? We're going to go to the left 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to end up at -4. And I know that number line's getting a little bit full, and I do apologize. But we would be at -4 on the number line. Now, you are going to see, and this is in the next couple of questions, but you're going to see this, and this is stating, excuse me, this is essentially how absolute value is going to be presented to you. These bars are your absolute value bars. And that's just simply saying what is the absolute value of -4. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to F. It says if the flea is to the left of 0, so again, we're to the left of 0, and the absolute value of its location is 5, where on the number line is it? So if the one above this, we just went -4 because we went 4 to the left, then we just need to jump one more, and we end up landing on -5. So the location of the flea for that one is -5 on the number line. And we know this because we jumped 5 places to the left. All right, G. It says if the flea is to the right of 0, so the right, we're going this way, and the absolute value of its location is 2.5, where on the number line is it? All right, so this one, we're only going to jump, so we're going to go 1, 2, but then we're going to stop in the middle right there. So then essentially where is the number located on our number line? It's going to be at 2.5 on the number line. Absolute value can be positive or negative numbers. It can be decimals, and it can also be fractions, so keep that in mind. All right, so number 2, it says we use the notation -2 to say the absolute value of -2, which means the distance of -2 from 0 on the number line. All right, so this -2 absolute value, and this is something to remember, is it can only be a positive number or 0. Your absolute value will never ever be a negative number. All right, so when you're finding the absolute value, for example, this is -2, we're actually going to turn this negative into a positive because you cannot have a negative distance from 0 on a number line. All right, so let's look at 2A. It says, what does -7 mean, and what is the value? So -7 is going to mean 7 units from 0 on a number line. And since it's negative, we know that it's going to go to the left. Okay, so that's what -7 means. And then the value of it is that it is 7. All right, so what does 1 8/10 mean, and what does it value? So again, this is a positive, so we just simply need to look at it and say 1 8/10 means that it's 1 8/10 to the right of 0 on a number line. Okay, so that is the end of lesson 6. I'm going to go ahead and close it off, and then we're going to jump right into lesson 7. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can ask me questions in the discussion board on Canvas. You can send me an email. Whatever you need, I will do my very best to make sure that you get a good understanding of this. All right, bye.